what overthinking really is. So, overthinking usually means that your mind keeps on running the same mental loop. Okay, so it will do either of these things. The first is that it will replay the past, which is also called rumination. Okay, or it will predict the future, which is called to worry about the future, or it will do the third thing, which is analyzing yourself, like self judgment, self criticism. So basically our mind is running between these three things, which leads to overthinking. Now when mind engages in these things, mind is actually thinking that I'm trying to solve these things. So that is why, when we are overthinking, we tend to analyze ourselves, and our mind actually wants to provide the solution for that particular problem which we have in our mind. For example, we are thinking about why did that particular event happen in my life. So what we are doing is that we are giving answers to ourselves in our mind, and we want to clarify things which are going in our mind. So we try to give answers that maybe that was meant to happen, or maybe that particular thing was teaching me something. So we are actually calming ourselves. So this basically becomes a mental loop, and that is why we want to think more and more, because we want to calm ourselves down with that particular solution which our mind is giving us. So we want to think more and more because our mind wants to keep us safe. Our mind was designed to keep us safe. So mind is actually doing its job. The second thing is that your brain has an inner chatter network, and scientists call this DMN, which is default mode network. Now, what it means? This simply means that when you are sitting idle or when you're not doing any task, then your brain automatically goes into daydreaming. It remembers your past. It tries to predict future. It is analyzing yourself every time. It is thinking about yourself and others because you are not doing a task. So automatically your brain will go into this default mode network, which is actually designed for these particular functions. Now, the same DMN, when it turns overactive and it is hard to switch off, that can turn into overthinking. And I already told you that it gets more activated when you are not doing a task. So you will also notice that, when you're not doing anything and you're just sitting idle and you're just sitting with this and for a long duration of time, so your mind wants to think more and more, and you get into that mental loop again and again. The third thing is that, we all have noticed that when we receive criticism, our mind gets into overthinking. So why negative feedbacks triggers more overthinking? So there was a very relevant research paper which was tested on people who had depression and anxiety disorders. So what it noticed was that people who were more emotionally sensitive showed more activation in this DMN region. And that is why when people criticize, we actually think that, okay, did we do this wrong? What did we do? Why did we do? What will happen? Etc. etc. So basically, when you receive criticism, some minds actually shift into self-focusing thinking mode, and then they get stuck replaying the negativity loop. And our ancient wisdom has already warned us about the same thing. The Bhagavad Gita already said that when you get happy from praises and when you get sad from criticism, that means that you are still a slave of your mind, because you are being triggered with happiness also and you are being triggered with sadness also. So there's a saying, I don't remember the saying in my mind, but it says that you should be neutral in criticism and you should be neutral in happiness. Only then you can keep a balance in your life. The next thing which happens is that your amygdala, which is a threat alarm, is always like something might go wrong. So when stress or anxiety is high, this amygdala gets more activated, and to keep it safe, because this was meant to keep you safe. So to keep you safe, this will constantly analyze, scan, and mental rehearse whatever it can. So why overthink actually starts? What is the common cause? So I've written few points in my note. I'll just read them out. So overthinking becomes a habit loop when uncertainty is high. That means in your career, in your relationship, or towards your health. So uncertainty is the first point. The second is perfectionism and fear of mistakes. You always want to be perfect. You don't want to do any mistakes. So it will overanalyze. Should I do this? Should I not do this? And it is overanalyzing because it has a fear of mistakes. The next is chronic stress or poor sleep. Obviously, your brain needs rest, and if you give it less sleep, then obviously it will work more and it will, produce those kind of things. The next is avoiding emotions. Instead of feeling our emotions, we try to escape and avoid it. And the mind tries to explain it in its own way. The next thing is overstimulation. We are constantly scrolling our screens, and we are constantly giving mental stimulations to our mind, which is actually weakening our attention stability. And the last, there's a hidden belief: if I think enough, I will gain control. So this is a very common thing, that we actually overthink because we want to gain control over life. So we are trying to explaining ourselves while overthinking, like, okay, why did this happen, how will this happen, or why did we do this, how will we do this. So basically we are actually planning because we want to keep us safe and we want to gain control over life. So basically we're always analyzing our life. We are so attached to the outcome, we are so attached to the future, and we want everything to go according to the plan. Now let us just come to the solutions, because overthinking has been part of our daily lives now, and we need to understand and practice some good solutions so that at least we can function in our daily lives. So the first is mindfulness. So mindfulness means paying attention to what is happening right now. Breath, body sensations, sounds, thoughts, without judging it. You don't have to judge. And whenever your mind wanders, because it is meant to wander, it will wander, but you have to gently bring it back. To bring yourself in the now, you have to practice a single focus technique. Whatever you are doing right now, focus on that. If you're breathing, focus on your breath. The easiest mindfulness practice is breath and return. For 5 to 10 minutes, just sit comfortably and keep your back upright and just pay attention to your breath. Inhale and exhale and just pay attention to it. Your thoughts will come, let them pass. You have to just focus on your breath. The second could be meditation or yoga, because yoga is actually settle the thought waves which we have, not by force but by training. Because yoga helps you to learn how to settle the thought waves which you carry in your mind, because there are thousands, lakhs and crores of thought waves which are also called vrittis in ancient wisdom. So those vrittis will occur, but you have to settle them, and you can't stop them. We can't stop our thoughts, but what we can do is that we could actually learn how to settle them. The next is name the loop. Whenever something comes to your mind, label that loop gently. Understand that it is just a thought, it will pass. 90% of our thoughts are false. So you don't have to cling on to them, you don't have to indulge in them, you just have to observe it, let them come. Okay, you observed it, let them pass. You don't have to indulge in them. The next thing which you have to do is you have to regulate your body. So for 5 to 10 minutes, what you have to do is that you have to breathe and have longer exhales. The next is give attention to a single object daily for 5 to 10 minutes. For example, you light a lamp, or you chant mantras, or you are just sitting in a balcony. So just notice a particular thing, bring your focus into one particular thing for quite some time, and do this every day. This practice basically trains attention stability, and it actually reduces the VMN, default mode network autopilot. Practice detachment. Now detachment means that do not cling on to the outcome, do your action, okay, but do not always analyze that this outcome has to be like this. No, just do your thing and do not cling on to the outcome. So practice detachment in your daily life. Release the demand for certainty, that everything has to be certain. No, release that and do your work. Now whenever a thought comes to your mind, ask yourself, can I control this particular situation? It actually gives you the answer. If you can actually control that situation, go for it. But if it is beyond your control, then automatically the loop gets closed. Because you have to understand that if something is not under your control, then just leave it. Now over time, when you do these kind of things and you practice all these things, what happens is that your brain actually changes. The size of the amygdala weakens, and your prefrontal cortex starts to strengthen. So automatically when things in your brain changes, when there are new neural pathways, obviously you will handle the situation more nicely, because now there are new neural pathways, there is change in your brain, and automatically the situations about which you were very fearful previously, you get more strength to face them, because over time you understood that how awareness and being conscious of our action helps us